Coach, just what did you attribute the big difference between your guys playing the first half to the second half where you got so much better as the game went on?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a combination of things. I think our guys settled down. We're able to talk about, some of the things that we need to do better, obviously, when you make some halftime adjustments. And, to their credit, they're a mature group. They understood we didn't play to the standard. I thought they worked very hard that second half. But, as you guys know, and they know even better, you playing a good team, you got to start faster than, obviously, the way we started.
It looked like there was a couple of times on the sideline when maybe there's a timeout or a change in plays that you guys were out on the field and you're kind of maybe trying to light a fire under them. What were those conversations like on the sideline in that game?
Yeah, well, I'm in the booth, but I think for the most part, from what I can gather, it's typically, guys encouraging each other, fighting for each other, any adjustments that we're trying to make, from series to series, going through those things. Again, we're not obviously proud of the outcome, but we're proud the way the guys continue to fight and, keep each other accountable. So I'm pretty sure that's what the messaging was. I know it's definitely coming from the coaches, and I'm sure it was being articulated through the player to player.
Ricky Gibson, somebody who got a little bit of run the other night. Is that something you foresee trying to push him little by little, like 10 snaps the other night, 15 or 20 this week? I mean, is that something like y'all like to continue to push him to get him more and more playing time? And then, too, it felt like the other night y'all weren't as aggressive blitzing as you've been in the first couple of years. Is that something you need to get back to, or is that just kind of perception? What do you think it was?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the first question. We definitely like Ricky Gibson. We feel like he's, one of the freshmen that's continuing to grow and continuing to get better, week in and week out. So, my stance hasn't changed. We want to play as many guys as we possibly can and develop some depth and be able to, play at a high standard, coming down the back stretch of the season. So, every week's a new week, but as he continues to get better, we'll continue to try to get him more repetitions. As far as the pressures, I think at the end of the game, the numbers came out, just about what they were, for me as in a normal game, based on this season and last season. But, we've been getting to the quarterback with 4, most of the year, or at least the first 2 games. And, and as long as we can do that, we'll pick our spots when we want to pressure. But at the end of the day, we're going to do whatever we need to do to try to give us the best opportunity to win. And, it just may have looked that way. But, when we self-scout, our numbers ended up actually being what they've been, for the first 2 games.
I don't think Graham Mertz threw the ball in the air over 20 yards, according to PFF stats. What are teams doing to you guys, or what did they do, at that second level, that kind of underneath stuff that you guys have to clean up?
Yeah, they did a good job, getting him on the move a little bit with some of their boot games and, perimeter kickouts, if you will. And, obviously ball in hand, we got to do a better job of tackling guys and getting them on the ground. But, we think we have a pretty good pass rush. We think a lot of teams will, try to get the ball out as quickly as they can. But yeah, he was pretty effective that night, getting the ball away, as quickly as he can, and some different, quick 3-step games and things of that nature.
Coach, in season, what do you guys do, specific drills or emphasis to try to improve on tackling after a week like this past Saturday?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We continue to, try to eliminate, obviously, what kind of missed tackles are you missing? Is it not wrapping up? Is it not bringing your feet? Because we're going to practice tackling, whether we, tackled at a 100% clip or obviously the night like we had Saturday night, we're going to always try to emphasize tackling. But what kind of tackles showed up? We obviously had some open field missed tackles that we need to get addressed. So we try to put them in those game-like situations best we can. Obviously, we're not taking guys to the ground, but as far as our footwork goes, our pad level, where our eyes are, we try to make sure we're emphasizing those particular tackles.
Yeah, just following up on that on tackling. When you're seeing that on film with the players, is it more criticizing the players of what went wrong on a missed tackle, or are you asking questions about why it happened?
Yeah, I think everybody has their own style and how they address. I can't speak for all coaches, but, like I tell those guys, we're all in this thing together. Those guys are an extension of me, So, yeah, I ask questions, what did you see here? Do you understand why you missed this tackle? I'm a big why guy. Why did we make this play? Why didn't we make this play? And a lot of times they'll be able to articulate, exactly what happened. And if they can't, as I tell them, that's my job to explain it to you so it doesn't occur again. So, we have healthy discussions in there. You know, you guys have all heard me, talk about our culture and who we are. You know, love, trust, and urgency is extremely important to me. You know, and if you love somebody, you should be able to tell them the truth. So I think our guys understand the level of love that we have for each other. And, I don't look at it as criticizing. I look at it as correction and trying to help those guys, get to where they want to get to. And that's being the best version of themselves on and off the field. So it's very healthy discussions.
Tim, when you went back and watched the tape, what did you see from Florida's running game that allowed them to be successful early in the game? And then I guess it kind of coincides. What did you see from Elijah Herring and Arion Carter?
Yeah, again, man, I give all credit to Florida. We knew they had a really good offensive line. Got some good young backs there. They ran hard. They really did. They broke some tackles, as we've already alluded to, that we need to do a better job tackling. Schematically, they did a good job of trying to, have some misdirections to, try to hold the backer's eyes, or even the safety's eyes. So, but I'll be honest, they didn't do anything that we hadn't necessarily practiced for, and they hadn't done anything that, for the most part, we're going to continue to see week in and week out in this league. So for us to go where we want to go, we know we have to all, collectively, from the front to the backers to the secondary, we all have to tackle better. And as far as Elijah and AC goes, obviously those guys are young. They don't have a lot of battle reps under them. But, as I stated earlier, I thought those guys, settled down, and I think you could see that in the second half, with their play.
Well, with some of the tackling and other issues in the secondary, I guess, how do you handle that position going forward? Is there a chance you guys kind of open things up at corner or any other position to kind of let those guys compete more?
Yeah, I think we're always competing, as cliche as that may sound. We're always competing. It goes back to what we talked about, rotating as many guys as we can. So obviously the better you play, the better your performance is, the more lion's share of reps you'll get. But, those are the same guys who just helped us win 2 games, and obviously, we didn't come out on top this last game. We didn't get the outcome that we desired. So, we're going to work to correct some things. And, obviously we'll try to continue with our rotation. But, if things don't get better, then obviously you start thinking about what can you do to increase somebody else's playing time, decrease somebody else's playing time. But that's not the message. The message is let's get better. Let's get better as players, let's get better as coaches, and let's move forward. And obviously if somebody, in that second group, steps up when they get their opportunity, then obviously they'll continue to play more. So, that's just where we are at this point.
It seemed like last year Byron Young was kind of one of the main leaders on defense for you all. Who this year you think is taking a step forward and is helping in game time to do the snap and clear, as you guys say?
Yeah, Jalen McCullough's, has done a great job. He's obviously, a guy who's played a lot of football for us here. And, I think he does a good job of trying to, calm the waters, so to speak, to make sure guys are able to, snap and clear. I think Big O, Amari Thomas, has done a good job, trying to slide into that leadership role. But it's still a young season. I think guys are still, somewhat finding their voice, particularly in, volatile situations. But, again, just goes back to that love and being able to trust each other that, number one, guys are going to do their job. And if something needs to be said, that they're going to receive it in the right manner, so they can digest it and obviously go out and execute better on the next play.
It can be easy to focus on the negatives coming out of a loss, but having a loss so early in the season, having a first half like you guys did, what are the positives that you view as a coach that you can kind of build on even with a loss?
Yeah, I think what you said, the first part is, it's again, we want to win them all. Our goal is to be 1-0, every single week. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen that way. So then you start to comb through the tape because you're right. It's human nature, to dwell on what didn't go right, didn't get the outcome you wanted, didn't play as well as you need to play in the first half. But there were definitely some positives in the second half, holding them to, I think, 3 points. I don't know what their yards were, but they obviously wasn't what they were in that first half. So I thought we tackled better, in the second half. The fact that those guys didn't give up. They continued to fight and claw for each other, from the first snap to the last snap. Those are all things that you can build on. But at the end of the day, you're never going to be happy, when you don't come out 1-0. But there are definitely some pillars that we can build upon to try to make sure that we're 1-0 the next week. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.